Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back showing some of the videos that we had with Zarkun and the Monk. The last time that we streamed together, I joined Monk's stream with Zarkun and we had an absolute blast and got a lot of games. You guys have already seen some of the hilarity that ensued, and now you're about to see some absolute nasty Republic games. Or a game, I should say. This one is on Northern Waters, and we are going to absolutely control this map. And we are going to take it to the Reds here. And I'm not alone. Zarkun and Monk also going to absolutely control this map. And this is a perfect example of a division of competent players taking over a lobby. Now, obviously, being in a division doesn't guarantee wins. We've talked about this multiple times. There's usually a counter division on the enemy team that can be as good or not good, and usually divisions are balanced out. But in this case, we're going to be in a game where literally our division is just going to take over the lobby. And this is what happens when you get three competent players running a proper division of nasty ships. Of course, we have our spotter, we have our DPM in the cruiser, which is actually less DPM because it's actually a Brindisi, so it's a super cruiser. But still, you have the cruiser, you have the DP or the spotter, and you have the raw hit power of the Republic. Now, right off the bat, you're going to notice we are bottom tier, so we're a bottom tier division, but this isn't anything new for any of us. Zarkun, Monk, and I. Monk tends to be in more divisions than Zarkun and I, but Zarkun and I are no stranger to playing solo all the time. Monk also, but when you put people that are competent on their own in a division, it gets pretty lopsided if the enemy division isn't anywhere on the same level as the three people that are in your division. So, in that, yes, it can absolutely sway a battle. Does that mean that your teammates are going to be competent? Absolutely not. And in a lot of cases, the matchmaker wants to keep everybody around the same win rate, so it tends to pair good players with worse off players. Not saying that they're bad, and even the worst players can step up in the right moment and have an absolute banger match. Nobody's saying that, but in some situations, like, the games are relatively balanced, not quite skill-based matchmaking, obviously, but there is a limiting factor in terms of generally one team ends up with a little bit better quality players than the other. Which is unfortunate, but that's just the way the game is. That's why this game ends in so many raffle stomps. But a lot of that also, it just comes down to some stupid decisions that people end up making. Speaking of stupid decisions that are baffling to me in particular, and the longer that you play the game and the better you get at the game, the more you recognize these bad decisions that people make. Like the GK, who's going all the way around the outside edge of the island for what? He is 20 kilometers away from, like, anything important. Now, obviously, Napoli is here in the cap, which means our Sumner is in danger, okay? Now, fortunately, this is one of those situations where this is a decision that can lead to your quick and immediate removal. I know what the Napoli is thinking. Napoli is thinking, okay, if I get around this corner, I've got SAP ready, I can absolutely dev strike this destroyer. And it's not necessarily the worst decision, but if you're gonna do that, you better be ready for the goddamn torpedoes that you know are coming, because you're spotted. You know you're spotted, and you're chasing a torpedo boat into a smoke screen around an island. Now here we have a Montana that's over angle. We absolutely punish him, getting a Citadel, hitting most of our shells. We ended up hitting 7 out of 8 shells. That's incredible accuracy. All right? But at these ranges, like, you cannot afford to over angle even a little bit in any ship against anything that's higher tier battleships. And you can see here, I'm trying to sneak him in through the cheek, and of course Montana's fantastic belt armor, not able to sneak that through the cheek. Okay, now here I'm starting to think that this guy may decide to go for a ram, but I'm also kind of putting myself a little over-angled here, expecting him to turn out. I want to bait him into opening the angle. Now at this range, I'm definitely going through that cheek, 100%. And he's lucky to not just be outright depth struck. Obviously, we take a nasty hit back. But the Republic's weakness isn't being, like, broadside on. It's when you make this turn that I'm making now and start to turn away that you potentially get Citadel through the rear, as we showed in the Yami video. But here, we aim high. Unfortunately, that's the shell that we, of course, in true Spartan fashion, leave him with just enough for somebody else to kill. And it's our GK that came back for the rescue, right? Dude took a trip off the estuary, turned back, and came back just in time to get the kill. Well done. But this one ain't over, folks. We got a long ways to go. That's only 2 ships down. Obviously, the Sumner managed to dev strike the Napoli, who decided to just YOLO in. Again, the decision-making is sus at best sometimes, right? And again, I'm not hating on somebody for making a poor decision. We all do it. Lord knows, you guys have seen me make enough poor decisions while we're streaming to, like, fill an entire, like, Noah's Ark, okay? Like, it's a thing. Like, I legitimately make stupid decisions on the regular. But I also like to call out some of those stupid decisions, especially in the moment on stream, like yesterday's Missouri video. Not anticipating the torpedoes from the Udachi, being clearly spotted, knowing he's in the middle of the map, and then eating the torpedoes. That's a stupid play on my own. I also had a radar that I could have potentially radared him sooner, but I was just worried that I wasn't going to be able to use that radar when it mattered most, and it turned out to be my demise. So there are plenty of bad decisions to go around. The goal is to point out those bad decisions so that we can all learn from them and get better, right? That's the goal. Because at the end of the day, not only do we want to provide good entertainment for you guys in the form of really high damage, nasty games that are just full of dev strikes, but we also like to showcase some good positioning. Now, the other day we showed the Kansas going all the way up into the center of the map and being in a position to get crossfires early in the game. Repub, on the other hand, is like a complete opposite. Yes, I could put myself in that position, but I don't need to. Why? Because I'm not as slow as a Kansas. I have an engine boost that allows me to get back and forth across the map as needed, so I don't necessarily need to put myself in that position because I can make up for it with raw speed. And as you can see, we have doubled back. We have now put ourselves in a position to get ready to attack this Yama. But notice I don't fire right at the Yama immediately. Oh, hello, Mino. How are you doing, Sunshine? Yes, go ahead. You want it. You know you do. So he's bow in. Doesn't matter. We overmatch. Everybody overmatches a Mino, but unfortunately, shotgun dispersion giveth, and sometimes it taketh away. And that one was one of those I would love to have back. Now here we have Kitakazi. Now we have 2 destroyers spotted right now. And I've always said, if you get a chance to shoot a destroyer, you take the shot at the destroyer. Right, boys? That's what we've talked about multiple times. We talk about this. And, of course, we managed to help take him out. Somebody managed to hit him right before we did. I don't know if he took a torpedo or what, but the Mino goes down. We didn't need to hit him. And the destroyers both end up dying, and that leaves just the Seattle out here on the edge of the map trying to be all fancy-like. We're going to try to bait him in. Notice I don't fire both guns at once, right? I want him to make his move. I know that he's going to try to get out the way, so we wait for him to start moving, and then we fire the other gun. And that allows us to potentially get more shots on target. Unfortunately, we miss, but the goal is to bait them into making their move. If you fire all your guns at once, it's really easy for a cruiser to dodge. Now here, he's already started to dodge friendly shots, so we take the shot as he turns and opens up, and that's a death. Every time. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you think you are. If you open up a heavy cruiser at that angle against a repub or any competent battleship, it is a wrap. Now here, unfortunately, we do take a torpedo, and there is a Shima left, but look at the base caps. The enemy has all 3 of them. All the Shima has to do here is run away and he wins. So we got to make sure that we start flipping these caps. And you'll notice the cruiser on the left is already jumping into Charlie. Our destroyer partner is jumping into Bravo. That's going to maintain that points lead that we need, right? It's going to allow us to have the cap advantage and give us that point, or make us keep that points lead. And meanwhile, my job is to distract the Shima. And the Shima does the unthinkable of firing his guns in the open water against a battleship and another battleship. And then, unfortunately, as soon as I fire my guns, he turns out, and I completely screwed the pooch on that shot. That's on me, right? But at this point, this Shima realizes, like, he's in trouble. He's not going to win this match. So it's all about damage from this point out for him. And you can see he's trying to anticipate what we're all doing. He's trying to launch on multiple battleships, hoping that by the time that these torps get here that he's hitting something. And we're not falling for that, right? And not only are we not falling for that, we're not chasing a Shima out into open water, right? Because that's just stupidity in a battleship, all right? I want you guys to be well aware that you do not chase a Shima into open water in a battleship. Why? Because, what is it, 370,000 alpha damage every minute and a half that thing can put out with torpedoes? That's 15 demon fish, fully capable of 23,000 damage a pop. And that's if he hasn't killed anybody and gotten a legendary perk bonus that allows him to have even more damage. So, keep it in mind that you do not want to chase a Shima into open water, right? Now, that being said, there are ways that you can hem in a Shima. Now, we know what the Shima wants to do. Why? Because we play the Shima. We know what his goal is. His goal is to stay out at range and make sure that he gets torps away as soon as they get loaded and try to hit as much damage as possible. So rather than following everybody out into the open water and chasing him out there, what we're going to do is capture the base and then move our way out to try to get ahead of him. Now, notice we have the engine boost running. We want to trap the Shima in between all of our teammates. We've got battleships on the right, we've got a destroyer behind me, we've got me, and I actually make a wrong turn here and start thinking, well, there's no way that the Shima has gotten to a point where he's out to my left already. And I'm partially right, but at the same time, you'll notice there's a key here in about 0.3 seconds. I'm going to go dark, which means he no longer can see me from line of sight. Is it because he's so far away, or is it because he's behind an island? Now we see torpedoes. Obviously, we know we're up against a Shima, so we're not going to just sit there and sail in a straight line. We're going to change what we're doing, change our speed, or change our direction. That's how you preemptively dodge torpedoes. But knowing that he's right here, you'll see in a moment, he's actually going to go, I'm going to go dark, which means he's behind the island right in front of me, right? Like, these are keys that better players over time start to pick up on. It's like, okay, well, his torpedoes were coming from this direction. He's clearly closer to me than my teammates. So we make a left turn, trying to cut him off. We know he's going to try to keep out in distance here. And as soon as I go dark, I'm like, okay, he's here. Look at me where I'm pointing. I'm like, okay, he's about to come out from behind that island. So we are going to try to use the island to shield ourselves from the next set of torpedoes. Remember, by the time he gets spotted again, but by the time we get spotted again, he's going to have torps reloaded most likely. So we want to make sure that we're in a position that we can shield ourselves using island cover or just make it harder for him to torp us, right? Okay, now you can see we spot those torps. Again, this also comes down to screening for your teammates. We know we got teammates behind us. We're putting ourselves between the Shima and them, which allows us to spot torpedoes. We're pretty adept at dodging torpedoes. I think pretty much anybody who's ever watched me play battleships knows that I can anticipate and dodge most torpedoes. Yes, I get caught occasionally, like with Udachi, but for the most part, I have a pretty good sense of when the torps are coming and where they're coming from, right? Mainly because I am a very aggressive battleship player and I am used to going head-to-head with destroyers. So I'm pretty comfortable in this situation. Of course, when you're in this situation, I don't care how good you are, when you're this close to a Shimakaze in any battleship, like, you are sweating bullets because you know one wrong move and you're going back to port. Like, there is no pass and go, no collecting $200. Now you can see Monk, I believe, has pulled up. Oh, and there's the wrong move. See? You try to anticipate it, and we've gotten a little bit too complacent, and we end up taking a torp. We cannot take another torp. That's death, right? And that's the second rack. So he has another rack coming, potentially. Unless, of course, we didn't spot one. But rather than chase him, at this point, it's like, okay, we have a destroyer here. I don't need to be this close to the Shima. I'm going to start to potentially turn away and make a little bit more room. And you can see there, Shima is torping towards our other battleship or just tried to catch me making the turn. Maybe he anticipated me making the turn a little sooner, and I didn't. So here we're going to turn and start to use the next island to shield us again. Obviously, it is a race against the clock for this guy. If he stays too close, he's going to get caught by our destroyer. And then he fires his guns at me. And I don't hate this move, but at the same time, if it's your survivability that you're looking for, that's probably not your best bet. Because you can see at least half the enemy team who is tracking your location. We know roughly where you're at. And here you can see he's getting torn apart. There's a cruiser on the left. We got Monk on the right in the destroyer. We got battleships shooting at him, and I am just begging for this kill here. He's got no health. We're like, okay, let's try to take the shot through the gap, and unfortunately we waited just a little too long there. Front gun does not clear. Rear gun does hit, and of course, once again, we leave him with just enough to get away. Fortunately, Zarkun is in the Elbing, sorry. Zarkun was in the Elbing, and he manages to take out the destroyer right at the buzzer beater. But 121,000 damage, 3 kills. We are second on the leaderboard. Zarkun coming in top in the Elbing with 3,000 base and 3 kills. And Monk coming in third in the Brindisi with over 2,400 base XP. So between the 3 of us, we took out 2/3 of the enemy team, and we managed to score a combined like 6,000 or 7,000 base XP in that match. Okay, so again, while it may not guarantee a win, it definitely gives you an edge when you can at least count on 2 people on your team to not be complete potatoes. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Don't forget, anytime I collab with folks, I will leave links to their channels down in the description below. Make sure you guys go over, check those guys out, and punch that like button. Say you're from the Spartan Army so that everybody knows where you're coming from. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.